others in their homes, and those others are depression, suicide, negative behavioural traits, fear, self-hate, self-harm, and they're stuck in the room with all of those.
Thank you.
I think we were group 4, and I'm happy to speak for our group now.
Okay.
We focused quite a bit on, I guess, mental health and well-being, but some of the other things that came up, just like Michael's group, grassroots support, making this available and how people can access it as well, and just being aware that actually it's not available. There's not enough of it right now that people need. They don't know who to call or who they should be speaking to. There was a point about laughter as a support service, and actually touching on the grassroots support thing as well. Actually, one of the members of the group, I was in a group with June, Bev and Elaine, by the way, actually creating a support network on WhatsApp and kind of reaching out to other people and trying to create that community which feeds into another point about being alone versus loneliness. Lots of people are doing this. Lots of people are doing this on their own, not through choice, but because actually they're vulnerable members of their family that they can't be with, or actually they've got family members that are choosing not to come home because they don't want to be a liability, a health liability. There was also the point about the fear and how that obviously speaks of a vulnerability, and that ties in with the play actually, and what you could imagine Sarah was sitting with, or is sitting with, because actually the fear can make you very angry. The fear makes you feel vulnerable when you don't want to be vulnerable, so you get very, very angry, and then that obviously speaks about the control, because we don't have much control right now. Whether you think you're following the rules or not following the rules, or just like living your best life, the point is there's things you can't do, and it just calls into question that sense of kind of agency. And then we talked about this thing about PTSD and the frontline workers, and there needs to be an awareness of the fact that actually when all of this is over, we're all going to have to kind of face what comes next. And you can keep running a marathon, but when it comes to the end of it, you're going to have to, you're going to have to deal with what your body, your mind, your muscles, have kind of gone through. And this mental fatigue that we're all experiencing right now, we might not be present to it right now, but we're going to have to deal with it, and especially thinking about those on the front line. And then we also touched on contracts and jobs, and that fed in on actually home and the space for living, which is interesting, because I hadn't thought about that actually until I think it was Bev that said it. So home being a space for living, not for working, and not being prepared to turn your home into that workspace. And there's that bit of a resistance as well. But then actually there are people in the group that aren't working right now, people that have had jobs, contracts cancelled. There's lots of self-employed creatives, independent people, and who's supporting that? The government can kind of talk about furloughing, but actually there are people that are not within a safety net. Was there anything else from my group that I've not pointed out, guys, that you wanted to point out?
No, just that I think Bev made a good point about there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. And I think that's quite important. Yeah, that's it.
And can I just, sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to add that the laughter group, I set up a laughter group, but that was actually because I'm the coordinator of one of the mutual aid groups, and I set the laughter group up on WhatsApp for that specific group. It wasn't generic, because we were doing so much in such a short time. A lot of trained volunteers, there were some professionals. It's just to kind of keep people together while they were supporting other people. That was what that laughter group was for. It wasn't a generic thing. It was for just keeping, morale going.
Okay, I'll jump in there. Group for room 6. Okay, we looked at the lockdown and the pressures that is caused, and someone gave real life stories of the impact it's having on people having to leave homes now, or people who've got mental health, who people stuck in the house, but sometimes need to go out, so that's an issue. At the height of the lockdown, there was a story about people who've not only got mental health, but they've also got a drug issue, and one actually jumping through. Hello.
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 Yeah, can I go on?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was talking over me. Okay. There was an instance of one who didn't only have a mental health issue, but a drug issue, and they're that desperate that despite the lockdown, they jumped through a window and they were brought back by the police. I think the following days. These are things that actually happen to people. Now, someone talked about lack of information. Indeed, it cropped up that when people need information like helplines, there's not like a national helpline that's been well advertised for people to know what's going on. And someone made a suggestion. Instead of having all these ministers coming in, when they do their briefings, they go stay at home, stay safe, and that kind. You can have that banner, give a national helpline, so that maybe people can call. Because I think if you're going through a crisis, that's not the time when you're going to look for a number. So if it's on hand, probably that might mitigate that slightly.